2022. Well, join me in welcoming back one of our most listened to podcast guests. I think it was of 2023. My dear brother, Luis Diaz. Welcome back to the Craftsman Online podcast, brother.
Thank you, brother Michael Arce, and I'm going to say it properly this time. I'm going to say it properly this
Nice.
time. Brother Michael Arce, it's a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor being here, being back here again, and share some of my crazy stories that I have now.
I know. It's hard to believe it's been a year since your last visit on the podcast.
Yep.
For our listeners' benefit, the last time that we talked, we had shared the story about how you and I started corresponding through the Craftsman Online podcast, basically a little post-pandemic. That was during your time you were relocating to South Austin, Texas. So
hmm
it's been a while. What have you been up to?
Uh, well, um, it was funny because looking for the email to get onto the recording session, I saw the emails that we sent from the very beginning, and the one that it came up is like, "Hey, hermano," they responded when they first answered back to me, like, "Hey, come on down to have dinner at the lodge and all that." Um, and that brought me memories from the very beginning when we start talking, and then I when I submit my petition, that's when I learned who's my top signature.
Top
No
line
idea
center, yeah.
about the term, and that was you. And all the brothers were like, "Who's this guy?" And they start calling you to ask him about who am I, and that's when I learned that term and who was your top signee. I've been working on my work. I'm a father. Um, I have another baby in the making. It's coming.
You've
My
been
second
busy
baby is
this
coming.
year. Wow.
I've been busy. Yep, that's a way to put it. Yeah, we've been busy
Yeah.
here. Um, I've been working on my degrees. Of course, as a good master mason, I joined a couple other appendant bodies that now I have to deal with time between my family, my work, my Masonic work, my reading, and and life in general. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow I managed. And this is something as like there's no way you can do it without the support of your family. So for that, I'm really happy about it. And I switched jobs too. Right now, I'm working in another company, and yeah, I mean, life has been busy. It's been very interesting. It's very happy and content what it's going on, and looking forward to everything that is ahead of me.
Yeah, I think the last time we spoke, at least podcast wise, you were getting ready to do your fellowcraft degree. You were an entered
That is
apprentice, and you were
correct.
going through
Yes.
going through the catechism process. Then you got that Master Mason's degree. I remember getting that text message or WhatsApp message is how you and I communicate, and my heart was just like exploding with joy and happiness. And the picture that you sent me, I could just see it was like, finally, like when a runner crosses the finish line, you're like, yes, woo. Got
Yep.
this. So he's a brand new brother of Onion Creek Lodge 220. They've been making masons since 1858. They just made one 2 years ago with our brother here. And I want to talk about some of the differences that you've kind of experienced now as an official Texas Freemason. One of the differences between our home jurisdictions, me being a New York Mason, you being a Texas Mason, is that you are in a mouth to ear jurisdiction. So
Mhm.
tell me how that degree study work was like, and what challenges that might have presented on your way to going through your proficiency.
Um, well, the first thing is that I want to highlight on this is the support that I have from all my brothers, especially, and I'm going to give a special shout out to brother Dennis Ross and Christopher Dawson and Ricardo Avila and Raúl Javier Esculi. He's gonna hate it because I pronounce it wrong on purpose. My brother Raúl Javier Esculi, and basically all the brothers over there in the lodge. But especially my main teacher, it was Dennis Ross. And as you know, for work, I tend to travel a lot, but he was with me all the time. It's mouth to ear, so you cannot do Zoom calls or you can do any video conference, but you can do phone calls because it's mouth to ear.
Mm.
So I was landing on, I don't know, in some part of Latin America, texting, "Hey brother, I just land. I'm gonna be in my hotel within 45 minutes. I know we have time difference. Are you awake?" I'm up. I'll wait for you. So I was running to the hotel, check in, brother. I'm here. All right, let's practice. And um, that's how I was able to go through all that. And then they were probably the biggest challenge, as you know, like probably people didn't notice this. It was my accent, how to pronounce things.
Okay.
Um, so and you have to present it like it is, right? So I know my work. I was they helped me to correct my pronunciation and to make sure that everything is according to Texas standards. And boy, it wasn't suffering there, trying to going through the learning process. But Dennis was a great teacher, very patient with me. The brothers were helping me all the time. And the first time when I was sitting on the chair to present my work as an EA going to Fellowcraft, I remember I timed it, and that's the longest one. It was 23 minutes and 42 seconds. And it's questions and answers. And I used to do music before, so I'm not scared of speaking in public or doing things like that. But that day on that chair, I think I sweat more than when I go to work out. It was a nervous wracking moment, but
Mm,
you know, it was fun. I presented the FC, and then from the MC to the master, it was quite fast.
hmm
My process. And then after I submit my master work, I have the ceremony, and then I had to do another class that would allow you to be certified. You are a master mason in good standing with Onion Creek 220 and the Grand Lodge of Texas. Now, like the infomercials, right? But wait, there is more. And all dependent bodies comes in, right? And it's like, wait, hold a minute. But
What's
um,
funny about that is where a lot of our experiences there's going to be subtle or slight differences. That is a very common one, and I do want to get to that in a little bit. How they jump on you for that, but
yeah, it's fine. I
is
have some stories about that too.
was your proficiency done in open lodge in front of all the brethren, or just in front of your ritual advisor or your Masonic mentor?
No, they prepare you in a room, the study room. So
Okay,
you're with two or three brothers, and then when you're ready, we open lodge and you present the work.
okay,
Like
gotcha. And
right
it's
now,
you.
for example, today, as soon as we're done here, I have lodge, and I have a brother that is gonna submit his EA, and then we have practice of the ritual.
Mm,
So we that have to be by memory too, and how to walk, how many steps you have to do, how to go. It's a whole performance things
yep.
that we
So that's
practice all the time in different degrees.
it's one of the differences, and that's what was kind of a change, because I know I would try to reach out to you when you were going through your proficiency study, because you were doing mouth to ear, which I,
Hmm.
having been a New York Freemason and now a DC Freemason, we have the benefit of the coded cipher books. So
Hmm.
I can always look at a piece of paper and go, oh yeah, that's what that word. I couldn't imagine having to rely on the world's longest game of telephone back with another
Hmm.
person. That would have been really tough for me. But it was also difficult because you'll know, and I know that our ritual is set up differently. There are certain, yes, phrases and
Hmm.
words that are consistent between the jurisdictions, but you might be talking about the experiences differently because it could have been portrayed differently. And I would just have to hear it and go, oh, okay, that was, Brother Luis's experience going through this. This is what we say. This is how we do it in New York. And this is completely different on how we do it here in the nation's capital in DC. But that's what makes Freemasonry unique. I'm curious, because you came from an irregular lodge and had kind of a healing process by becoming a regular Freemason. Do you feel that having that other ritual, that clandestine ritual behind you, did you feel like that was not helpful at all? Or was it somewhat helpful in that you had kind of a structure of how to learn a proficiency ritual?
Mm, well, first of all, I was initiated in the Scottish Rite, and here is York. Um, the degrees the first 3 degrees have something similar but different at the same time. Um, in my experience, coming from the lodge before in California, there were non-recognized Masons in the States, but they were recognized in other parts of the world.
Hmm.
Um, those degrees, I don't know if because we were Latinos, but they were more dramatic. I can tell you that hands out. Very dramatic.
Real
And I
tears were
love
shed.
it. Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And they were very dramatic, right? So the teachings are kind of similar, but in a different way presented. Um, and on in all 3 degrees. Um, the symbolism is kind of it's kind of is similar but in a different way. um, it's very hard to express or to put it in words if someone, I don't know who's listening, right? So mostly are Masons, but it's somebody that is a non-Mason is just listening to this. I don't want to give anything away,
Hmm.
because there's some difference in the ritual. There's some similarities. Each one of them have their own beauty, and it have the way they presented they present the lessons, the way that they present the words and the meaning and the esoteric part and the philosophy behind it. Their own have their own beautiful part. I'm lucky enough that I had both experiences. And right now, I'm looking forward to actually, I think it's going to Louisiana or Oklahoma, that they're performing the first 3 degrees in the Scottish Rite that I am dying to go and see,
Hmm.
because that's where I learned, that's where I come from. And well, my whole deal of going into true Masonic line and joining Onion Creek 220, it was to start going to into a regular Masonic lodge, and I wanted to go to a regular Scottish Rite appendant body. And right now, I am part of the Austin Scottish Rite, and and there I met other brothers from other parts of the world coming almost from the same experience that I had. I
Hmm.
have some friends that are from Valle de Mexico. I have some friends that are from Cuba. I have some friends that are from Venezuela. So some brothers are from Venezuela. All Scottish rites. And when we talk about the experience and the degrees and all that, we speak the same language. It's the same thing that it was presented to me. It was presented to the brothers in Mexico, in Venezuela, and in Cuba. So we want to study all that, and we want to go to Oklahoma. I think I can remember exactly if it was Oklahoma or Louisiana, to see those degrees, to see if what we were taught it was true and what are the differences. And and that's part of the journey. And in my opinion, both sides have their own beauty. I will say go and experience it. And
Okay.
like my other part is going to be like after doing the Scottish Rite. And yes, Raul news, I'm going to go to York Rag at some point. So, yes, I'm going there. But I want to experience that too and continue the journey that I started in Texas.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's good, and I like to hear that. And I like the way that you put it, a very positive spin on it, because I found coming to DC and going through the chairs of my lodge here in DC, become the master of the lodge. I had to learn all the opening and closing on all 3 degrees and know
Hmm.
all of the parts for that degree. So I had a foundation from New York Freemasonry, which is Preston Webb, and it's very similar, except there are differences,
Hmm.
responses and things that are said. And I found me, I still have it to this day. I work with my my immediate past master to try to purge out, as I call them, the clandestine words of New York ritual that just have been drilled into my head so deep. I have to get them out and go. I can never unlearn them, and I don't want to, but I need
That
to
correct.
respect that when I'm in this chair doing this job with this hat on, I need to be saying the words that are appropriate for this jurisdiction. Um, and so I try
Yeah.
really hard to do that. And so I wondered that, you had a lot of challenges, and you just, blazed right through them, and didn't see it as a deterrent at all, which is really impressive to your character. And I'm really moved about that. So I'm smiling because I'm also thinking you led to it. What was it like? Being raised at Onion Creek Lodge, how was that different than in your previous group did you also have the old guys from the north that came over and grabbed you and tried to give you petitions to affiliate in the other bodies in your previous lodge, or was that just something we do here in the States?
No, that's something unique to the states.
Okay.
No, but but the different the difference the biggest difference from being raised here is, well, the first one is that my father was my other lodge, so my father raised me
Mm,
on my other lodge. That was the first difference. The second one, I must, and again, this is, I don't want to give anything away on the ritual
right.
of anything, right? But it's my second race. All right, it got done by a man that I admire a lot. I know his history, and it has a great character, and it's something that I look up to as some as somebody that is a Mason, that has the uprightness of conduct, to conduct himself as a Mason, and is George Moxley. He was the one who raised me as a master Mason. And but the moment and everything that is being done at that moment, it has their own beauty, right?
Mm,
And the first one, it was different. It has a dramatic part, and one of the most important parts, it was that my father was the one who raised me. And
okay.
on this one, I had a good group of brothers, people that I care and I love them a lot. And having brother Moxley being the one who raised me and all that, I mean, that was a special moment for me too. And again, what is happening in the race of a master Mason and the York, right? It has their own beauty, right? And it has its own magic, because it has a part that is also dramatic.
Hmm.
And the drama in that part, in that instant, in that moment, and all the master Masons here know exactly what I'm talking about. That moment, it has their own fire too. A little bit different than what I went through, but it has their
Okay.
own fire and it has their own lesson, and it has a special meaning to me too. So I'm not taking, and I think I said this the first time that we spoke on the podcast. I'm trying to take that mindset of comparing. I'm trying to relearn this new path, this new way, because I believe each one of those paths is have something to teach to everybody, and I try to have all that in me and to apply it to whatever is coming ahead of me.
One of the things and similar, because I only went through a raising one time, but I feel like I get a chance to relive that, and that's why I like to go to be a part of other degrees for other candidates and other
Hmm.
lodges if possible. One, because I like to be there, because I know how meaningful it is when, even when it's your first degree or the second degree, and the moment when you're brought to light, and you're looking around and you see familiar and unfamiliar faces. But I don't want them to be stuck seeing empty chairs. I want them to feel like they're important,
Hmm.
and them being a part of what we do is meaningful. But then the second part
Absolutely.
is kind of yes for me, because I sit there and think, I didn't pick up on this when I was going through the first time, because my mind was in 100 different places that night, like everybody's was. But then I also have the benefit of now doing a little research and a little study of the ritual myself, and go, oh, that hits a little bit differently tonight than it did
Hmm.
8 years ago or 9 years ago or whenever it was. um and now I think of you now, because you have those you're uh a dual speaker. Honestly, when it comes to Masonic ritual, you can speak to both parts of it. So I think that that's really special for you. The one question that I just had to ask is, what does it feel like now that you're a Texas Freemason? Like, when you hear men of your lodge refer to you as brother, how does that hit differently now?
Well, the word and the meaning of the word brother and the meaning of it, regardless if it's hermano or brother, is always something that it weighs heavy on me. And what I learned from the very beginning, and that's what I love about Onion Creek, that it carries that meaning that I learned, right? So if you're my brother, if I have the honor to call you a brother, that means I'm there for you and I
Mm,
trust on you. And there's gonna be differences, there's gonna be different points of view. We're a social group, regardless, right? But the word brother and the meaning of that, or the word hermano, brother, or whatever translation will be, the meaning of that, and that it's something that I can relate to my old lodge or Onion Creek right now, is that the meaning, the respect, and the honor that calls somebody a brother is there. It weighs heavy. You still right now in the brothers that I met, that you can shake hands and say, I'm gonna do this, and that you don't need anything else. It is what it is. And for me, that's very important. I treasure that a lot. um, there are some times that we have to do some work at the lodge, and I try to joke a little bit with Dennis. Like, I see pictures, like, hey man, we finished this. Why you didn't call me to help you out, man? What's wrong with you? And, oh, no, 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 but it was something quick and easy, and I know you have the family going on. Okay, I legislate, but that's fine. But let me know when there's something going on, right? So, um, and with the brothers is it's just the other day, for example, I'm not a shrine, but a lot of my brothers are Shriners, and I had a situation with a good friend of ours from our family, and they were and their daughter was having a medical problem. I was like, hey, it's something difficult. I know there's a shrine hospital in Mexico.
Mm.
Let me see if maybe they can refer me to somebody. Maybe they can help, because I know they're doing miracles over there. I sent one text message. Hey man, this is what's going on. Is there anybody that can refer me? Like, in 30 minutes. This is the person that need to talk to in Mexico, and he's part of the board, and we know that he comes here. He goes, this is the phone number, and he already
Mm.
know that you're gonna talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't need anything else, right? So right there is the proof. As soon as something happened, it's everybody's looking out for each other. So I love that. I like that, and I'm gonna carry that.
Yeah, I think that to me is one of the special things. It's hard to explain that to people that aren't in the fraternity, because we don't really use
Hmm.
that term a lot. And when you think of fraternity, you think of, like, college guys getting drunk,
Hmm.
in the front yard in front of their crappy house. But that's not the case with Freemasonry, and that it's these quiet superheroes, this network of them just behind the scenes,
Hmm.
that if you need something, or someone that needs something, you are automatically connected to these folks. And it's just, as you said, a simple phone call, a text message, and bang, relief, charity,
Yeah,
boom, two things
it
that
is like
immediately
that.
come.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you've been able to escape it, as much as I can tell. You got hit up to join the concordant bodies, which that happens, but usually after a newly, raised brother comes through, the next thing is like, hey, you should get in the officer line. Have you thought about being a steward of the lodge? What does it look like down the road for you when it comes to contributing? I'm sure they're like, hey, we have a past master in our midst now. Let's get him through the chairs.
Well, I
He's
talked to my
laughing.
wife,
Oh,
and
that's good.
yeah, I talked to my wife, and she gave me permission to be the steward.
No, I like how you put that. That's good.
So that's it. Has to be talked to the manager. My manager is there. Um, yeah. And again, today is lodge day, so we have to practice. Well, we're gonna practice installation also, because yeah, I'm gonna be the steward for the next horseful master coming in, and
We'll see after
I,
that, huh?
yeah, we'll see.
Do you
It's
have
gonna
a
be a
progressive
very
line at your
yeah,
lodge, or
yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So are you
It's
looking
like that.
already and going, okay, probably what, 7 years from now, I'll be in that big chair over there in the east?
If tradition prevails, yes.
Hmm.
Um, if tradition prevails, yes. But I'm doing it more from the approach of I want to help out to my lodge. Um, then the consequence of being there helping, maybe one day I'll be in that chair, but it's gonna come when I'm ready, and not before, not
Absolutely.
after. So
Yeah.
my,
Yeah.
my
I
main
always tell
concern is
guys,
like try to help out. That's it.
yeah, I tell guys life happens. You don't know what's
Mhm.
going to happen next year. People move, jobs change, things come and go. But I like how you look at it as like, I'm going to be a contributing active member, and if they need me here, this is where I'll be. That's awesome. So
Yeah,
let's talk about the concordant
that's how I
bodies.
see it.
Before we got started with the program tonight on camera, you were showing me a couple things. So what's it like being a Scottish Rite Mason now?
Oh man, I'm going. I'm back home. That's where everything started. So I
How much
I
of the
love it.
story
I mean,
is
that's
the
the best way I
same
can put it.
with the Scottish Rite Southern Masonic jurisdiction
Um,
and your home jurisdiction?
it's well, it's another turn, right? Um, into the York, right? You're doing more like more of the Bible story about it that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go more deeper into the philosophical and esoteric work, and you start analyzing different religions, meanings, how that is being related to masonry, maybe what is not. I remember when I went as a candidate of the Scottish Rite Masons on the banquet. One brother said something that I was like, I want to start this now. He said, like, all religions are right, but all religions, like have something different to offer. So, and then we just start studying it. Something that that I'm just start doing it. It's a master craftsman program. I think that's the name that we have here in this other jurisdiction. You start going through books and learning what's the meaning behind the degrees, what they need to teach you, and go from the Kabbalah all the way to the Templar Knights and what's true, what is not,
Mm.
and the names of the degrees are also like kind of special. Um, but all those stories to me are like kind of related because, again, in my other part of masonry, they made me write a lot, write and read a lot, and that's part of the study that I know how to do it, and that's what I'm going back. The book that I show you is something that just start scratching it, and my head is exploding all the time. Um, and
I
I
couldn't,
have
and
another.
that's the just for the benefit for our listener. That's Albert Pike's Esoterica, which you have a Spanish version of that book.
Yep. And I was telling you, there was the one of the advantages of besides having this beautiful accent of having two languages with me is that the prices of the books in English was like $142, and in Spanish is like 30 plus something. So I'll take it in Espanol, no problem. It's the same content, and maybe
Honestly,
I'll find a different flavor.
yeah, my Spanish is so bad that I probably would stand the same chance even if I read the English one, because Albert Pike is like 30,000 feet above my head when it comes to the concepts that he introduces. So,
Yep, absolutely, and I don't know, man. It's just something I'm gonna enjoy a lot. Learning who the brother who's been doing a lot of work in the Scottish Rite Masonry is Arturo de Hoyos, and he's the one
yep.
who wrote the Monitor. And I think he's from Texas, but I know he's gonna be at the banquet on June 29th in San Antonio, Scottish Rite. So I'm going to get a signature on my books from him.
We'll just text
Because
him right
if I
now
will
so
be
he's
able
ready for you.
to, oh man, I love it. I love it, brother Hoyos. It will be an honor and a privilege to have your signature and a picture with you.
You got to post it and tag us. That'll be a special highlight for me too.
Oh man, I forgot to tell you, brother John Nagy. I met him at the Grand Communication in Waco, Texas. And I don't know if I sent you the picture. I did. I did send you the picture, I think.
You sent me the
I
picture.
met
Yeah.
him. I met him. He signed one of the books that I got from him, and it was such a crazy moment, right? Because I heard him through the podcast many times, and I was walking with my brothers. I'm like, John Nagy, and then I heard his voice. John Nagy, you've been to the Craftman Online? Like, yeah. Oh man, come here, give me a hug. Come here. Like, I listened to you so many times, and to hear your books too. Like, oh, come here, give me this, give me that. Sign it,
Mm.
please. Thank you. Let me have a picture with you. and it
Yes.
was a fun moment. So I'm gonna do the same thing with Arturo de Hoyos, just to let
I
you know.
got to get him on the podcast. So slip our card in his breast pocket so he can come
No,
on.
no
But no,
problem.
I'm
I
glad
give you his number.
yes, please do. I'm glad you got a chance to see Brother John, a very dear friend of our podcast, and I'm really happy. Listeners have asked like, "Hey, what happened? Where's he going?" I'm like, "Well, now that the pandemic is subsided and the world is back open, John is a traveling man at heart, and he loves going around and doing all of these things. So he's kind of taken a sabbatical from the podcasting world to go out and spread that light and interact and connect with brothers. And I'd love to hear that our Craftsman Online listeners and just brothers in the craft are finding him and calling him out and saying, "Hey," and he loves it. So please go up, get your pictures taken, get your book signed, say hello, get a handshake. He's a great brother for that. Before I let you go, I got to ask you a question about the last time that you were on here. As we mentioned, your episode landed in the top 10 most listened to Craftsman Online podcast episodes for 2023. What did your lodge brothers of your new lodge, Onion Creek Lodge, what did they think about that podcast episode and having a superstar amongst them?
I don't know if it's superstar because people want to listen to me or they don't understand what I'm saying that they have to play again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but something happened, right? I don't know. I don't know what is it. They're just happy uh, that I'm pursuing light, and they're
Mhm.
happy about it, right? Um, that's the main thing. All the time that I have questions, all the time that I have certain conversations with them about you know masonry, ritual, what it means, that why do we do this. In the other degree, I remember I was doing this. Why don't we incorporate that part here? Oh, what did that means to you, right? Oh, well, this and that, and we got into deeper conversations, and the conversations that we get into goes from something very philosophical or esoteric about the work to something like, hey, when are we gonna go back to the Peruvian restaurant? Because I'm slowly dragging all my brothers to Peruvian food, right? And so I didn't like it so far. I have no brother saying like, yeah, that's good for me, thank you, I'm done. Like, no, everybody's like, so Luis, when we going back again? I was like,
Mm,
wait a minute, I have to
same.
talk to the manager first, and we'll see. And we'll go back there. Like right now, we're planning something. Like we have to plan ahead, right? Because right now there's a shrine coming in. There's grotto. There's Scottish Rite. There's a Blue Lodge, and all these beautiful things that as Masons we know we have to go. And now we have to plan ahead. Okay, this day we're going to the Peruvian restaurant. Or by the end of the year, I was like, okay, enough is enough. When are we going
Mm.
to the Brazilian steakhouse? Oh man, we haven't done that in ages. And like, all right, I am going this Saturday. You want to come? Please let me know, and you have until Thursday night to let me know who's coming in. Otherwise, I'm going by myself. I'll send you the picture. I'm done. And
S- Spoken like a
Wednesday
true
night.
past master, now steward. I love it.
I mean, you have to push them a little bit, right? So
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Wednesday night, they're like, "Hey, brother, did you put the reservation yet?" And there's the salesman coming out. Yeah, I have 4 so far. Are you want to be the fifth? Are you coming with your wife? Like, yeah, put me down. I'm having my wife with me. Perfect. 2 more to the list. BS. It was just B to that point. And then everybody saw the messages on the chat group that we are, and everybody started jumping in and yeah, me too, me too. I'm coming with my wife. Beautiful. At the end, we have on the table, I think like we were like about 10, 12, 12 of us,
Nice. That's a good
and
turnout. Nice.
it was nice. I got the chance to meet the family and to talk a little bit more outside the lodge context, because we all
Mm.
seen each other in lodge on other Masonic activities. It was fun to see them on that, and those kind of meetings actually, in my point of view, like kind of helps to create a better bonding because we're seeing in another spectrum of our lives, right?
Yeah.
and and then you get to talk more and just talk about life and things like that, and I love it. Like, right, and the other part was the Peruvian food. I was surprised when everybody was like, no, I never tried Peruvian food, but I'm dying to go. All right, how about next Thursday? I mean, let's go. And yeah, like so far I've been there like three times, but one time I went just with Dennis Ross and his wife, and everybody else got mad. So what's up with that? Why you didn't tell us that we can go to the Peruvian restaurant? Like, yeah, this was special for Dennis because as soon as became a master mason, this was my way to show my appreciation, and I wanted to invite him and his wife for letting me borrow him to steal time from them as a family so he can teach me my work. So that was my
Nice.
way to say thank you. And they're like, so what's up with that? They're like, yeah, and I mean we can't go back. No, why you didn't call us? What's up? We're not your brothers now.
So I just want to
And
pause for a second.
that was tight. That was tight. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple chats in the YouTube live stream. We've started live streaming our podcast recordings.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna guess it's brother CWH. He's asked why you keep referring to Scottish Rite before the craft degrees. Yes, you did hear brother Luis refer to that correctly. And we're gonna when this episode airs, we'll drop the link so that brothers can hear his story. But he actually went through a different body that wasn't recognized by many lodges in the United States, where they originated with the Scottish Rite degrees instead of the Preston Webb or some of the other forms that we practice predominantly here in the U.S. And also hello to brother Damon Nolan, who's representing his most worshipful Prince Hall Lodge, Grand Lodge of North Carolina. Thank you so much for chiming in and helping out and getting brother CWH up to speed. So Luis, one of the things, or I should say Armando, one of the things that puts a big smile on my face is going back to where we met and where you were coming from. And I think about this quite a bit when I think about, brothers that aren't attending lodges and really aren't getting everything that they can get out of the craft. And I couldn't imagine something that was such a part of my life that I couldn't go visit and be around the brothers, and to have that almost quote unquote like taken from me for a while, or prohibited from me for a while. That would be very painful. But it makes where the work that you went to get to where you are now, where it's like, just try to stop me. I'm going to be traveling everywhere. I'm going to be doing everything. And I'm just so happy to see where you've ended up. So I congratulate you. And I'm always going to be cheering for you. And I can't wait, 7 to 8 years from now, I'll keep that date open on the calendar. I would love to come to your installation, be that when it may.
Oh man. Now those
No
are big
pressure.
words. Hopefully, no pressure. Hopefully, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen in due time, right? But again, like right now, I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying learning more about the fraternity. Now that I'm going to all these other appendant bodies, um, I'm meeting with more brothers. I'm crossing path with more brothers, and it's like, hey, I saw you at Grotto, and you are here at Scottish Rite. What's up with that? Oh yeah, I'm a founding member of the Grotto chapter in Texas. Actually, that's the name. Um, and I met, for example, brother David Hill, and he was actually an esoteric con that he was in Virginia this
Okay.
past week, I think. But he's also one of the big names in the Scottish Rite in Austin, and we are in Grotto too. And I remember we went to the bowling alley one day and like, hey man, how you doing? Blah blah blah. We talk a little bit, but then I'm going to Scottish Rite and he's one of the big names, right? So I was like, wait a minute, what's up, brother David? They're like, hey Luis, what's up, man? And you get the chance to cross path with these very interesting people. For me right now, it's just learning, see how much I can help. I know there is a lot to do. And like you said, there's some brothers that maybe get into masonry and they feel that they don't get enough out of it, or
Mm.
maybe something happened, they feel disconnected. Well, to me, so far, what I experience is nothing but love, nothing but support. And I try to give that back to whoever comes in. Like we have a lot of people coming to visit the lodge because the historic part, we love when we have families coming into our lodge and say, well, I found this from my dad and I guess he was initiated here, we didn't know about it, and we go to the records. Oh yeah, he was actually raised here. And there's a corner in the lodge that I would love to, if you one day you can come and visit us, there's one corner in the lodge that this is the original blackboard when kids used to write, and that's because the first floor of the lodge used to be a school,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
there's still names, and there's still, and they preserve that part, and that's really really nice. And there's a hero from the Alamo, Seguin. uh I don't know, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Seguin in the Alamo work. And one of his great or grand nephew's sons, uncle, a relative of this hero from the Alamo, actually, it was part of the Onion Creek Lodge too, and he
Mm,
passed away just a few years before I joined the lodge. And his nickname was Papi. So, and I heard all
nice.
these stories about him, and that's history going through the line, right? So I love it. I love it. And I think masonry has a lot to offer to the people that are really interested in it. And again, I mean, this conversation right here is the reflection of what masonry has to offer, because I came to you through an email
Mm.
completely out of the blue asking for light, and you helped me to reach out for light. So
Well,
if this is not an example, I don't know what else it is.
absolutely. And I think one of the exceptions was is I'm like, Luis Martin Diaz is reaching out to me, not somebody from Ghana who's trying to become Mason.
Oh,
But no,
I had
it
those a
was.
lot, man.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. But it's one of the things that it was the sincerity in your email, and I knew that you were associated with Freemasonry or a Freemason because of the way that you spoke to me through the email. And there's just that dialogue that only Masons understand, the formalities that we have, the decorum, the etiquette, as some would say, in the email text. And in our original podcast, it was true. Like I couldn't help you at that moment, and I really couldn't help you to get to the Grand Lodge of Texas because I am not a Texas Freemason, but I am a Freemason. I am a brother, and I was there, and I was really happy. I'll never forget. It was one of my favorite days. I was coming home from a long run, and I get this phone call from a brother from Onion Creek Lodge, and I talked to him for an hour about you. And it was my favorite part of the call when I said, well, I don't mean to surprise you, but I've never met Luis in person. I've only talked to him on the phone and through email. And he's like, what? The way that you guys talk about each other, it seems like like your brothers. I'm like, well, we soon will be, I hope. So it's been
That
an
was
honor.
brother
And
Robert Etchenberg. Yeah.
yes, I remember. Yes, I got a nice
Yeah.
lesson on the history of the Grand Lodge of Texas from him as well. He's a very proud Texas Freemason. Yeah, I feel
Oh.
like I was just a part. I knew you would do it, and I was happy to get you there. And I'm really happy. There's another brother here at Craftsman Online, right? Worshipful brother Kurt Morauer, who specifically has asked, like, whatever happened to Luis? I want to hear an episode. I want to hear, a follow up with him. Like, where? So he will be listening to this episode. But I'm glad to know that you're doing well, and I knew you would thrive. And yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on you for many, many years to come.
Oh well, I'm hoping that I can visit you soon. My brother lives in Virginia, close to DC.
We're making it
So
happen.
at
We
some
got to
point, I
get
have
you out
to.
here.
I have to. It's gotta happen. So I know you invite me to the um, in February or this year. I can't remember when it was. But again, my schedule is kind of crazy. Luckily, this is the end of the quarter, so people that are in sales knows that this is crash time, end of the month, end of the quarter. So after that, in July, I can
Right.
relax a little bit more. I might be able to actually surprise you one day, like, hey, brother Arce,
Let's
guess
do that
what?
Brazilian
We're going to a
steakhouse thing you
Peruvian
were
restaurant
talking
in
about.
DC. No, I'm taking you to a Peruvian restaurant, and I know a good one in DC, so I got you. Don't worry.
Deal. Well, I also am respectful of your time with Crunch Time. I know you've got lodge to go to tonight. So honestly, it's always a pleasure to get you here on the podcast. It brings a smile to my face when I see a text message or a WhatsApp message from you. My hermano, brother Luis Martin Diaz, thank you so much for making time and coming back on the Craftsman Online podcast.
No, man, thank you for the invitation. Thank you to everybody who's been helping and supporting me through this crazy journey that I decided to embark on. All my brothers in Onion Creek, I love you from the bottom of my heart. All my people from the Scottish Rite. I have a lot of questions, so prepare for that. And to all my brothers in Grotto, and thank you also for all their support, and also for my brothers to my brothers from the Moon Lodge. Uh, boy, my apron is from them. The
Want to
they're
go take
gonna
a
kill
peek?
me now.
Go take a
They're
peek.
gonna kill me. Hold on, give me a second. Where's my apron? My apron is from them. As the Tranquility Lodge 2000. Yes,
There we go.
Tranquility Lodge 2000. There we go. Sorry, brother Raul Javier Esculi. But yeah, Tranquility Lodge 2000 also big help from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, everybody. And of course, uh, none of this, nothing of this will be happening, brother Michael Arce, if it wasn't for you. You helped me. You reach out to me. You talk to. You talk back to me. I felt your support, even though we still haven't met each other face to face. But through the conversation, the phone calls and the text messages, man, I felt the support, and none of this will be happening if it wasn't for you or the podcast. So for that, thank you very much.